Hi Stampers, this is Kim with Great Inspirations. Thank you for joining me today. Here it is, our very last video for April, and so that means that this will be the last week I'll be talking about different types of Z-fold cards. So today's card is what I call an inner Z-fold. It may have other names, but I call it that because basically it is a window card. There's the window with a panel inside that is basically a Z-fold card. So here's this cactus. It says happy birthday. You open it. It says still looking sharp. Thought that was kind of cute. So this is an inner Z-fold card. And of course this is in portrait orientation, and they can also be made in landscape orientation. Here's a seagull saying happy birthday. May your birthday be as carefree as a seagull snagging fries. So there's that. And then I have one. It's just a card of encouragement. I didn't put greeting on the outside. Didn't really think it needed it. But you open it up and you're in my prayers. And then here's another card of encouragement with lemons. If life gives you lemons, check them right back. So as you can see, it's very easy to make it in portrait or the landscape orientations. And actually these cards are quite fun to make and they're easy. You're basically putting a card in a card. So the measurements for the inside panel are just a little different, but you will catch on really quick to how you come up with those. For the window, definitely use some dies. You can use any shape you like. They just should be layering or nesting dies if you want to add a frame. If you don't want to frame the window, that's fine. You don't have to worry about them being layering dies. Other things about this card. This is a good card. If you have cardstock that is thinner, like maybe 65 pounds, 60 pounds, something around there, that's a great cardstock to use for these inside panels. It's a little lightweight. It folds easier. It doesn't make your card quite so heavy. I mean, it doesn't make a big difference, but it does make some. Also, pattern paper, whether it's, this is cardstock, but pattern paper, whether it's double-sided or just the one side, it doesn't matter because all you're really going to see on the card is one side. So this is a good project to use, like I say, your pattern papers, double-sided or single-sided, and thinner cardstocks for the inside. You could also use a thinner cardstock for the frames and even for the focal image if you like. So let's see what we have to do to put one of these together. We'll just move all these out of the way. And the first one we'll talk about is a portrait orientation. Oh, yes, I did make Christmas ones. I almost forgot. Here's one, very sparkly, with a snowflake. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And then here's a snowman. Celebrate the season. We wish you a Merry Christmas. So there are my Christmas cards for this week. Okay, so let's start with what we'll need. I have some cardstock and it's black, so it's going to be a little difficult to see against this black background, but we'll do what. But anyway, there's the cardstock, and it is 8.5 by 5.5, and we're going to score it at 4 1/4, just like a regular piece of cardstock. And then we need a piece for the outside for a mat, and it's just as always 4 by 5 1/4. And these measurements, you can write them down if you like, but they'll all be on my corresponding blog post. And the link to that blog post is in the description of this video. And I have here, Celebrate the Good Stuff. This is going to go on the inside. It's a panel. Again, I probably need the white. It's a panel I made to put on the inside of the card. So it's all ready to go. And then I have already cut out the frame and our little focal panel. Happiest of birthdays to you. And then this is the piece that goes inside and makes the Z fold. It's double-sided paper. And the way you determine how much, or the length to make it, let's look at our card base. So when we have a card base and we're going to make a layer, whether it's on the outside or on the inside, we start out with, 4 by 5 1/4, correct? So we know that on this side, the width of the paper we want is 4. I'm sorry, 5 1/4 by 4 for our layer. So we want it to be 4 inches. But we need it on this side too. So that's another 4 inches. So our paper is going to be 8 inches, and then the height will remain the 5 1/4. So we're going to make this 8 by 5 1/4. And then we're going to decide where to score it. Let me find my trimmer. We're going to use it for some scoring. So our paper is 8 inches wide. We know we need to score it in half. So half of 8 is 4. So we'll just bring this in here, slide it over to 4, and then we will score. Now, for the Z fold, on this side, in this 4 inches, we need to score that in half. So half of 4 is 2. So you could score it at 2 and 4. However, I find it easier, especially if you're using patterns that have a direction, which this doesn't. But if you did, and you're scoring and you're looking at it, and you're going, like this is going to go at the top of my card, I think it's easier if instead of scoring at 2 and 4, put the 2 inches on the end. Score the 2 on this side. Which you could take this out of the trimmer, turn it upside down, and just score at 2. Or you could just move it over and score at 6, because 4, which is where we scored for the center, plus 2 is 6, correct? So that's how we figure out where to score for our cards. And I tell you that because maybe you're going to make a different size card, and you need to know how to get the size for your inside panel. Now, another thing you can do once you get this size for your panel is to simply fold it in half. I know I do have this scored, but all you have to do would be to fold it in half. And then on your right side, fold this back. Fold it in half. Then you don't even have to worry about the scoring. Don't have to worry about measurements at all as far as for the scoring. And there you go. This is our inside panel. So let's put this card together. And after we get it together, I know I've already cut the frame out, but I'm going to, we'll talk about cutting out the frames. I need to score this. And of course that will be at 4 1/4. Okay, there's that. Need more space on this desk, or a bigger desk maybe. Okay, here we go. Put this piece of paper down so we can see what we're doing. Okay. let's put this on. We're going to have to do a little die cutting on this. So on your front panel, or on your matte layer, we need to put adhesive on it, but we're only going to put adhesive along the sides. I'm going to put another little bit right down there at the bottom. Okay, there's that. Now we need to cut a window out. So I have on my dies, I have circles for this. And of course one is larger than the other. I need them both to cut a frame, because when we go to cut a frame, I need to lie them down like this. Get them kind of lined up really good. These two just happen to fit perfectly. And then we would tape them down and run them through the die cut machine to get our frame. But for right now, we want to just use the smaller of the two to cut our window. So I'm going to open this up. I'm going to try to kind of decide where I want this. You can put it a little higher, a little lower, or right dead set in the middle. Totally up to you. I think I'm going to put it about there. And tape it down a little. This is mint tape. You can use any kind of low tack tape. You can use a sticky note if you like. And then I'm going to get my die cut machine here. And we're going to lay the card flat, not folded, flat, and put it on our cutting plate. And then we'll run it through. And then I'm going to run it back through, just because we are cutting a little extra there. Okay. Try to put that down without dropping it. And then we'll just pull our tape off and our die. And there's that. And these scraps can come in handy. Like, you can separate them. If I were putting something in here that I was coloring with, say, alcohol markers, I would use one of these two circles to cover the back of it, so when you open the card you wouldn't see it. But we'll talk more about that in a little bit. So now, here's our frame. We can put around our window. Just put a little glue. We just put it into place. There we go. There's that. And now we're going to put this inside. So we just put adhesive on the back of the main panel here. And there we go. And we can go ahead and put this inside. Okay, now we'll close up the card. And we're going to put adhesive, and I like to use liquid adhesive for this, but you can use whatever you care. I'm going to just put adhesive right here, just on the pattern paper. Then we're going to line up our sentiment here, our focal panel. And there is our card. Now I have some gems I'm going to put on that, and I'll do that later. I'll take a picture of it, and you will see the finished card on my corresponding blog post. So there is the portrait version of the inner Z-fold. Now let's move on to our next card. And I need to put the pin in this glue real quick and get out our other supplies. This is the landscape version, so you're going to use a card base that's 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2, and we're going to fold that. Looking for the bone folder, there it is. So there we go. And we're going to put some adhesive on the front. I'm just going to use some Stampin' Seal. Don't think, there we go. And this pattern, it is really not directional either, so we don't have to worry about that. And we're going to, like we did last time, cut out the center there, get it where we want it. And tape it down with something with low tack. Run this through. And like I say, I run it back just to make sure that it goes through. Pretty sure it does, but I just want to make sure. Take this off. And as I said, I could save these to put on the back of the focal image if need be. And while we have this out, I'm going to show you how to cut a frame. I already have the frame cut for this, but we'll talk about how to cut a frame. So, to cut the frame, we're going to put both dies on our cardstock. And like I say, these two happen to fit just fine together. Sometimes they don't. I have some dies that they just don't. And it's just the way they're made or something. Then we'll remove this. I think my tape has been used about as much as I can use it. Maybe there'll be another use. One more use. And here is our frame. Now, what happens if they don't fit together so well? I'll show you what I do. Get these out here. I decide what works best for me, and you may want to do it the opposite, but I cut out the smallest one first, and then I'll have this whole piece of paper here with a hole in it. And after I get that cut out, I'm going to place the larger one and kind of center it around the hole. Now you could cut out the larger one and then put the smaller die on it and try to center it. But for me, doing it this way just is easier, just for me. It may work better for you to do it the other way, the opposite. So I have the center cut out. And I'm going to bring this die. I probably should have practiced this really and truly. Make sure it's been a while since I've had to do it. Just tape it down a little and run it through. And here is our frame. So if your dies don't really line up real good, that's how you can cut a frame. I'm out of the frame, aren't I? There we go. Okay. So now we'll put this away and get back to our landscape version of the inner Z-fold. And we have this, and now finishing this card is just like finishing the other. We have to find our frame. Get some glue on here. That's the front. Don't want to put glue on the front. And then we'll get it on our card. Now these, once you get everything all cut out, and that doesn't really take too long, but they go really fast, these cards do. I think it took me longer to decide what papers I wanted to use than anything else. So there's that. And now, put this down. There's that. And here I colored him in, and I've already put the piece that I cut out from here, like this, on the back. I could have put the pattern paper on the back. It's up to you. But it just covers up, when you color with the alcohol markers and it bleeds through, it just covers that up real nice. So we'll just put this on here. Get our little toucan in here. And there he is. Happy birthday. And we have stuff to put in the middle inside. Hip hip hooray, this is your day. It is finally warm weather here where I live. Today it's supposed to be 80. And whew, I can tell. Feels a lot humider, more humid too. There we go. And there is that card. And I do have some little sparklies to put on there. And like I said, I'll put them on and put the card, the finished card, on my blog post. So there you have it. There is the inner Z-fold card in landscape. And here's in the portrait. Those are the two we just made. And here's the one with the cactus. Here's our seagull. Some lemons. And then the pretty flowers. And then, of course, my 2 Christmas ones, if I can reach them. There's this one, and there's this one. Thank you for joining me today while we went through the inner Z-fold cards. I hope you've enjoyed this series on Z-fold cards. There are tons of other Z-fold cards we could make, and maybe in the months to come I'll go through some of them. But for now, again, thanks for joining me. All of the measurements and tips and other ideas will be found on my corresponding blog post, and the link to that is in the description of this video. Until next time, stamp happy!